Got it. Perfect. So yeah, I'm not going to go too far in depth into the individual aspects you want to include in each stage. More about delivery, I'm going to be talking about the things that you want to avoid to optimize your chances of landing in the primary inbox folder. So essentially, the main idea to grasp on is the further you lean into HTML-based factors, so links, tracking, images, video, even attachments, PDFs, all of that is going to push you further and further away from the primary inbox and land in areas like promotions, potentially junk, and eventually spam. So to that point, you want to keep your initial step as clean as possible, because your first step, if you're keeping your emails threaded together, is going to be your key to the castle. If you don't get your first step correct, all of your subsequent steps are going to follow suit. No matter how good your content is, no matter how valuable your information is, they're not going to see it because it's somewhere else. So you want to keep your tracking to a minimum. We by default automatically track all of your opens, and we give you the option to track link clicks. We have found that the vast majority of our clients will have no problems with tracking opens, and those that do decide to track your click-through rate, very few run into problems. But to start, we do recommend keeping your content as lean as possible. Prioritize what you think is most valuable for you from an analytics perspective, and then kind of make the call when incorporating those into your content. As far as the actual email itself, we recommend using primarily plain text. You want to keep it simple, ask your questions, and be very direct with what your goal is. For that first step, we'd like to talk about discussing pain points, asking those questions, and then following up with pointed information. I'm not going to throw in a big attachment here. I'm not throwing in links to a kind of case study page on my website. I'm not embedding a video. It's just very clean, straight to the point. I want this to land in the primary inbox folder, and I want them to take it seriously. I want it to seem genuine, so that they're not going to just throw me into one of those supplementary folders on their own. For the follow-up steps, that's where you can start to diverge a little bit. Obviously, what I've been saying here, keeping it as lean as possible, you want to keep that consistent throughout, but you do get a little bit more leeway when following up to a previous step than you would if you were to start it off with that thread. So for example, when I'm following up with more concrete information, maybe this is where I want to throw in the testimonials page, or maybe I have a link to a kind of walkthrough of my building if I'm selling a house, or the office space, or just walking someone through the platform. This is where you can kind of start to go into a little deeper territory, as long as you're keeping it in the same thread. If you're responding directly to step one, it's going to land for the most part in the same location that your step one did. If you're doing a completely separate email chain, you're in the same boat as you were the first time. When you do throw in all of that extra HTML-based content, you're essentially guaranteeing that your emails are going to land somewhere else. The example that I like to use is, if you've ever ordered food, you typically automatically get opted in to receive their newsletters. And those newsletters almost always end up in your promotions tab, because they're very heavily edited, they're very image-based, and all of that content is forcing the email providers to sort the messages differently. So again, if you're focusing on a marketing style and you've kind of accepted the fact that promotions is where you want to be, go ahead, lean into that aspect. But reply was designed around this plain text first style. If you are going to include those HTML-based factors, even in the same thread, you still want to keep it light. We don't recommend adding like 4 or 5 different links. focus your attention. If you're talking about case studies, you're talking about examples, one link to the testimonials page and continue to draw attention to that same link. Don't use the same link 3 different times, because that's still going to build upon the kind of backlash that the HTML based factors are providing. So really hone in on key aspects and then continue to draw attention to those rather than repeat yourself 3 times just to really press the fact. Another example there is in my signature, I have my calendar link, and your calendar is going to be your primary kind of focus for attention when writing your call to action. Instead of putting my calendar link in the body of the message, I'll just point everybody to my signature to book the calls there. As long as I'm drawing attention to it, it works in the same fashion as if I were to like highlight it 4 or 5 times. So I'm just saving space, I'm optimizing my deliverability, and I'm still getting my CTA through.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to note, Josh, just like the number of links in the emails that are being sent out, because I learned the hard way a few years ago. And my experience was I had about 4 or 5 links in the emails that I was sending. And then all of a sudden, my open rate went from about 40% week to week to about 5 or 6. And so, we ran some tests and found out that for people I was sending emails to, anyone who was using Gmail, those emails were going directly to their promotions tab, and anyone who was using Microsoft, it was going directly to their junk folders. So I reduced the number of links in my emails to a maximum of 2 in the body of the email. And like you, Josh, I only have 1 calendar link in my signature. That's all I have. And my emails have been delivered just fine ever since.
Yeah, so like kind of looking at some of these, for the most part, we're a very unique case. People are signing up to reply, and then we're sending them emails, so they're expecting them. So the open rates should always be on the higher end. But for something like a review request, we're providing links to outside services, and those are going to be inherently lower in comparison to some of the more kind of data-based educational emails that we're sending out. So there are no real links in these. These are just us providing information to you, long form emails, or inviting you to hop on calls with us. Whereas these other kind of sequences, these review requests, offer requests, whatever they are, because we're loading those up with HTML, we're trying to get you to interact with something. The open rate's inherently lower because you're not seeing those emails as much. And you have to try to maximize or express as much control in those areas as you can. If we were to load these up and make them very pretty to look at, the open rate would be much lower because nobody is getting that in their primary inbox folder. So again, you have to kind of take a look at what your ultimate goals are for your sequence, what your sequence type is, and then say to yourself, do I want to prioritize the number of eyeballs? Is that my number 1 goal? Or do I want to kind of prioritize click-through rate? What's most important to you? Do you think the flashiness is going to outweigh the number of total people looking at it, but the people that do end up looking at it are going to interact more? Like, do you think they're going to offset each other? You really have to kind of take these different elements into consideration before deciding how you want to write the sequence. In general, I think the more eyeballs you can get on your content, the better off you're going to be. So sticking to a leaner, plain text first style is going to work the most globally. But there are corner cases where the visual aspect definitely does have its appeal. People tend to take it seriously because it looks professional. But again, you have to be able to get them to see it in the first place. So again, first step, plain text, ask your questions. And the only real link that I ever include is the one in my signature to my calendar. Step 2, I'm going to get a little bit more bold. I'm going to link that testimonials page. I'm going to link to a playlist on YouTube, or I'm going to embed a video. I usually never add attachments. Not just because of the kind of inherent weight it has for moving you to different folders, You're far more likely to end up in spam if you do have an attachment than if you don't. But because people just look at them and there's an inherent kind of hesitancy to want to interact with them, especially if you're using cold messaging. If they don't know who you are and they're not expecting this message, they're far less likely to want to click on a separate file and download that, because they don't even know who you are. You could be sending them anything. The first reaction is going to be, this is some sort of virus. So you want to try to, again, appeal to the logical mind. Would you click on a stranger's attachment? Probably not. So you shouldn't be sending them out on your first pass. You want to build up a lot of trust, which goes into kind of the elements that we've spoken about on previous content webinars, and build that trust over the course of a number of steps, and then eventually kind of fully commit to the attachment or the video link.
We do have one question about content. So this is from Derek. He's saying that for his case, including a one-page PDF attachment is more relevant than including a link. How are attachments viewed with deliverability rates in comparison to links? So what he wants to do is have a single page PDF attachment to follow up in his step 2 or step 3 emails.
So there is a hierarchy of the weights to them. I think links are going to be obviously the lightest. The specific value is going to change based off of your domain reputation and your email providers. But just for kind of argument's sake, let's say your link is 0.5% against your deliverability score. So you start at 100 and you add a link, you're now at 99.5, which is arguably negligible. If you add multiple links, that becomes multiplicative. So it's not just 0.5 plus 0.5, you're now closer to like a 2% hit. And then that continues to build up. A PDF would be closer to around 5% base. So again, not the largest of hits, but it is considerable considering where you started at. So you do have to take these things into mind. And again, the perception, they don't know who you are. They didn't necessarily ask for this. If you send them that PDF attachment on step 1, they're going to look at it and be a bit skeptical. So you want to send a few emails prior to that, maybe warming them up to the fact that you're going to send them this file. I typically avoid asking for permission. I'm not going to write in my first email, oh, I'd love to send you this PDF. Do you mind? You've already sent them a message that they didn't ask for, so you might as well just send them the PDF. But I would do that after you've provided a lot of detail about what it is that you're doing and what they can expect in the PDF. In the message where I'm including that attachment, I will also go out of my way to describe what they're getting into. This is what you can find in the attachment below. And then I'm going to lay out what they're actually going to look at, as opposed to, hey, here's all the information that you may be interested in, and then leave it completely up to them of whether their curiosity is going to be piqued. Again, it's all about building the trust and capitalizing on the plain text-based options, and then keying in the HTML-based factors where you think they're going to be most poignant.
So I think we have one more question about content, and then we will move on to contact verification, just in, for time. So I sell products in my signature. I have a few links, including press, website, and 2 others. I've been including a link to my website for initial outreach on email number 1. Would you recommend leaving out the link to my website in the body and just saying something at the end, like, to view our products, visit our website, there's a link in the signature? I don't schedule calls via calendar link. I just share with them products, line sheets, and the intention of the sequence is generating new wholesale accounts. So I would say that for the most part, it's really about just limiting the amount of links that you have. So for example, I would say for your email signature, I would cap it out at 2 links in the email signature, and just really decide what is going to be the most beneficial for you, as well as most beneficial for your prospects, or what's going to make things easier. So, to Josh's point, and same with me, having a calendar linked, it allows our customers to, schedule calls with us, get in touch with us. It makes things a lot easier for them. I've seen accounts where in the signature, they have a hyperlink to their email account, their email address, their company, their LinkedIn, their Twitter. That's too much. If you think about it, your email address, someone hits reply, they're already going to have access to your email address. So you don't need to hyperlink that. So like I said, 2 links in the signature, and I would keep it to about 2 links in the body, and just really decide what's going to be best for you and your prospects, and what's going to be most beneficial. Josh, would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's very common to have all of those kind of social tags in your signature line. I don't think people are ever clicking on all 5 of, like, what they're going to choose kind of their channel that they prefer. So if you have any kind of information on their preferred platform, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, maybe set up different sequences, and then you can remove your signature from your actual settings, and you can apply a kind of unique signature for each of the different sequences with only the tags that are going to be kind of impactful for the audience that you're reaching out to. It's all about kind of working with the information that you have and kind of making the best choices based on the information at hand. Throwing all of the social links in every single time, sure, you're going to get some hits some of the time, but it's always better to take a personalized, slower approach than a very fast, broad approach. Sure, you're going to get hits, you're going to make sales, you're going to get people clicking on your stuff, but reaching out to these specific people that you know are going to interact with information that they need is far more likely to bear fruit than kind of throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks.
All right. Thanks, Josh. So I am going to quickly move on. I'm just quickly going to talk about email verification, and then we'll get to the more technical aspects of deliverability, email account health, domain reputation, and warm up. So let me just, all right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to steal the screen from you, Josh, if that's okay. All right. So like I said, I want to talk about email verification, and really that is just ensuring that the contact info, the email addresses that you have for your prospects are valid email addresses. This is probably the best way to mitigate bounce rates, to ensure that your bounce rate stays below 10%, which is what we really do recommend. So we have email verification within Reply. There's a host of other tools out there as well that you could try as well. The nice thing about it being within Reply is that it's all in one place. So it is based on a credit system. So you can easily go to your account settings and go to plans and billing. And so I can see right here, I have 10,000 credits across my team account that I can utilize to validate those email addresses. If you are part of a team account, your team owner can purchase those credits. It is a monthly rolling subscription. I think it starts at $20 a month for 5,000 validation credits. It's really easy to use inside the platform. So I'm going to go to the People tab right here. So on this People tab, so this is everyone that's been uploaded into the account, regardless of the sequence that they're in. And it's really quick and easy to validate those email addresses. So once these contacts load, I will show you. So I could either come in here and I can, select everyone in my list, or I can just verify a few people at a time, whatever I feel like doing. And then I'm just going to hit validate emails. So depending on the size of the list that you're validating, it could take, 2 to 5 minutes. Once that verification is complete, you will see a notification here. It will tell you, if you click on that bell, it's going to tell you, okay, 200 contacts were validated, 100 were valid, 50 were invalid, 50 were risky. If you refresh the page, you'll notice that beside your contacts, you will see an icon between their name and their email address. So for example, if Joy was a valid email contact, you would see a green check mark beside her name. So that means Joy is good to go. If Malik right here was an invalid contact, you would see a red X icon beside his name. That means he's an invalid contact. So it could mean that that email account doesn't exist. It can be located. The domain doesn't exist. We will not send emails to invalid contacts. So the nice thing is that, if you do get a list of contacts that are deemed as invalid, you don't have to rush into your account and try to delete them before your sequence starts. We just won't send it out to them. There is a third status. It's called risky. What that means is there's about an 80% chance that email will get delivered. So for example, if Jose right here was a risky contact, we would see a gray exclamation point beside his name. Typically, this can include catch-all email addresses. For the most part, it means that there's certain conditions regarding that email account or domain that may prevent it from getting delivered. So best practices with risky email accounts, if you maybe got back 100 risky emails, we would recommend maybe activating them in a sequence or moving them to a sequence in batches of about 10 to 20% at a time. I've seen risky emails get delivered. I've seen them get open, multiple views and replies, but I've also seen them bounce. So what you want to avoid is potentially adding all those 100 risky contacts in at a time and those 100 contacts all bounce. So add them in small batches. That's the best way to go. And like I said, verifying your contact data, validating those email addresses are really going to be the best way to mitigate a bounce rate. And like I said, we do recommend you keep it below 10%, and that's the best way to do that. So that was my little part about email verification. Like I said, it is available on the platform. You can check it out under settings and plans and billing. That's where you can see the different packages that are available to purchase within Reply. So I'm going to pass it over to Lena now. Lena's going to kind of go through the more technical aspects of deliverability. And just to give everyone a heads up, Lena's feeling a bit under the weather today. So she may be sipping on her tea like I am. So yeah, so I'm going to pass over to you, Lena.
Thank you, Stephanie. Let's talk about technical aspects of deliverability, and one of most important aspects here is the domain age. If you have a new domain or if you have a new email account within an old domain, please make sure to warm it up before starting using it or sending emails. If you start using a new domain for cold outreach without warming up, there is a high chance that emails may end up in spam. We will talk about warm up a little bit later, but still I want here to tell you that there are a couple of options how you can prepare your domain for outreach and how you can warm it up. You can use automatical tools. You can use manual warm up. So you can basically send emails to your friends, colleagues, and ask them to open your emails and send a small reply. Also, you can use sequences in reply to make the manual process faster. And for a new domain, we recommend around 3 weeks of warm-up process. If you have a new email account within an old domain, you can use 1 or 2 weeks of warm-up just to make it ready before the start. So this time will help to create a strong sending reputation for your domain, and it will help to avoid the spam and other deliverability issues in future. One of the most of the next important steps of warming up is domain settings. Before starting campaign and before the warm up, please make sure that your domain is properly configured. We recommend to set at least SPF, DKIM, and DMARC for your domain. And if you don't set them, there is a chance that emails will be rejected or they can come to spam. So let's talk about each records separately. SPF record is a record that should contain all mail servers that are allowed to send emails from your behalf on your behalf from your mail server. DKIM is a key or digital signature from your email account that sign up your emails. And DMARC is a record that check if what to do with your emails if they didn't pass DKIM or SPF check. Now I will quickly show how to set up SPF records for the most popular mail providers. And so basically you will need to navigate to your hosting website and find DNS area. You will need to add TXT type record for SPF. Here, please always use a TXT type record, because some hosting has a separate section for SPF record, but still you will need to create a TXT type record always. The host will be, as you see, at, and for some hosting, you will need to leave the host blank. For example, if you use the Wix hosting, you will need to leave the host blank. And now let's get to the value. So here you will see the most popular providers and the value for SPF. If you don't know your SPF records, you should navigate to the support section of your mail provider, and probably you will find a correct SPF entry for your domain. Also, you should know that you can't use 2 or 3 SPF records. You should only have 1 SPF. If you use a couple mail servers for sending mails, you will need to add them one by one in 1 SPF records. So basically, you can include, for example, SPF for G Suite, and then next include for the other mail server that you are going to use. Next, I'll show you how to create DKIM. I'll show you how to create DKIM for G Suite account. So first of all, you will need to log in to G Suite account, and in the search tab, you can just type DKIM, and you will get the page where you can create DKIM here. So once you generate the record, you will have 2 records, one short and long one. The short one is the host name that you will need to use, and the long one is the record by itself. So you will need to get to your hosting website and create again a record with TXT type, and so the host name and the record value you will copy from G Suite. If you use the other mail providers, you will need to also log into admin panel of these email providers and generate a record. You can also find a support section about it if you use other mail providers. So if you use G Suite and you add the record to your hosting, you will need to get back and click on Start Authentication. And that's it. DKIM is set, and you are ready to send emails. And the last record is DMARC. This is the just the basic DMARC record I wanted you to show that we recommend to set. If you want to use some other DMARC policy, you will need to discuss it with your IT person, or you can just decide by yourself which one you would like to use. And in the value, you will write your DMARC policy. So that's all for, and also in reply, there is an option to check SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, and as well as other domain records in the settings of your email account. To do this, you will need to enable beta version, and you will be able to check your domain settings there. If they are not correct, the records will be read, and if you click on them, you will contact our support team, and they will help to set those records. The next important step is.
Sorry, Angelina, just before you kind of continue, we do have one question from Nicole. In general, so all of these crazy acronyms that we're talking about right now, these are vital settings on the domain side that you should be updating in order to maximize the likelihood of your emails going through from our end to the recipient's inboxes. A lot of the times people will have heightened security that are looking for specific values. You need to whitelist certain IPs, or there's a lot of different things that are going on the domain level, and SPF, DKIM, and DMARC are all designed They're the most general items that you have control over that will help guarantee you accessing the inboxes that you're trying to reach. If you don't change any of these, your emails will still go out. You're probably just not getting anywhere.
Your emails will still go out, and correct domain settings will not guarantee that you will reach inbox, but it can increase the chance that you will reach inbox of receivers. So there is no guarantee, but this is the first step for good deliverability. And mail servers of receivers will check if you have these records or not. If you don't have them, it may look suspicious for them, and in some cases they can even reject your emails. So it's better to set them for sure.
Perfect.
And also, I just want to add here that some of our customers try to add a reply to SPF record. There is no need to add reply since reply send emails from your own mail server. So no need to add reply to your SPF. Just add your mail provider to SPF record. Do we have any questions about domain settings, or let's go?
I think we're good. There's one that just came in, but maybe we'll get to that in a couple minutes.
Okay. Okay, let's get to domain extension. There are more trusted domain extension and less trusted domain extension. So when you create a new domain, when you buy a new domain, please pay attention and try to use more trusted domain extension. To check good and not good domain extension, you can just Google them, or for example, this is a list from Spam House. So here every day they publish the worst domain extension that you should avoid using. So better to use the trusted one, of course. And let's get to the tracking links. Joshua have already started to talk about them, but I'll continue. So in reply, there is an option to use open click and opt-out tracking. And open and click tracking, you will be able to enable or disable in the settings of your segments. And for opt-out, you will need to get to the settings of your email account. All tracking links, as well as any other links, can decrease your deliverability. Because emails with tracking links look a little bit suspicious for receivers. And that's why I would recommend you to use custom tracking links that will be based on your own domain. So what is the idea? Instead of default tracking links that use all customers, you can create custom tracking links that will be based on your own domain. This can help to bypass some spam filters, and emails where tracking links is equal to the sender domain looks more trusted and safe. Also, I would like just to add a couple words about opt-out, because I forgot to add here. So in reply, there is option to use opt-out with a text and using a link. According to the CAN-SPAM policy, your mails have to include at least text or link, at least any opt-out option. From the side of deliverability, it is better to use a link. According to our tests and researches, link may improve your deliverability to some mail servers. That's why when you think of which opt-out option to use, please use a link in your email. So now I would like to show you how to create branded links in reply. You will need to have access to your hosted links. So basically, you will start from your reply account, as well as you will need to open the DNS area at your host. So to create branded links, please navigate to the brand link section in reply and start adding the branded link. there is an option to add a branded link for all email accounts that you have in reply and for just some email account. If you have a domain, if you have just one domain and, for example, 3-4 email accounts within the same domain, you can select the option always select all. So this tracking link will be used for all email accounts in your reply account. Now, in this, you will need to select type, for example, open clicks or opt out, and add your subdomain for tracking. It can be, for example, opensyourdomain.com or any other words with and then dot your domain. This is just example that I used for the presentation. So once you click on check, you will get 2 records, CNAME and TXT type records, and you will need to add those records to your hosting website, again to DNS area. So after you add them and save them successfully, you will need to get back to reply and save here. And this all tracking links, and this can help to bypass some spam filters and improve your general deliverability. And,
hey, Lena, sorry, Lena, just jumping in really quickly. You were breaking up a bit there when you were finishing talking about branded links. So just for everyone who is kind of listening in right now, if anyone does have questions about branded links, you know, if there's anything that you missed, you can always reach out to our support team via live chat. They're more than happy to help you. If anything related to deliverability, our support team will probably loop in Lena or Olga as well from our deliverability team. So any questions, feel free to reach out to our support team.
Yeah, exactly. I would also like to talk about sending activity after you after the warm-up process is over and you are ready to start your campaign. So at the beginning of your outreach, it is really important to start sending with a low volume of emails. Please start with 15-20 emails in a day and increase your sending numbers very gradually and very slowly. Even if your domain is good enough and warmed enough, if you start with the high number of emails, it may look suspicious for your own mail provider, and in some cases it can limit your sending activity. That's why it is important not to increase your sending numbers very fast. In reply, there is option to increase your daily sending numbers automatically using ramp up mode for email account. It is now available for all users, not only for warm-up users as it was before for all users. You will need to set the ramp up, the daily goal, also starting amount and the ramp and the daily increment. You will start with sending with the low volumes of emails, and every day you will send, for example, if you set daily increment 5, so every day you will send +5 emails from the previous amount. This will help to increase your sending numbers very slowly, gradually, and safe. And also, please set the limit of emails in a minute to control the speed of email sending. It is really important because when you send emails too fast, when you send 100 emails just in 1 minute or 2 minutes, this may look suspicious for your provider and for spam filters. And to avoid it, please set the limit of 1 email every 2-3 minutes, and this will help to send emails slowly and safe during the day and at the same speed. So that's it from my side for now. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll check now if you have any questions about what I told.
Yeah, Lena, there is a question related to domain settings. So maybe if you're able to reach out to that viewer and just answer that question for them. Or maybe we can even get to it. We can kind of answer it live in a few minutes. I just want to give you a couple of minutes to take a break because I know you're not feeling well today. And I really like kind of where you landed right now in terms of sending activity, because that kind of brings us into the next topic that we want to cover, which is really about warming up your email account and, why that is so important. So essentially when, we talk about warming up your email account, we talk about, like Lena just mentioned, starting with low sending volumes and slowly increasing it to maybe that 200 or 400 daily limit that you can reach in reply. And it's really important if you have a new email address or a new domain, or even an email address or a domain that hasn't been typically sending high volumes in the past. So we used to offer warm up within our platform. It was included in reply, and it was warm up essentially automated for you. And so what it was a peer-to-peer network where, anyone who had signed up for warm up, reply would send emails amongst that peer-to-peer network, and we would slowly ramp up your daily limits for you. And then, as they're being sent out, those emails would be open, reply to. If they were, landed in a spam folder, they were removed from spam. So we were taking care of all of that behind the scenes. So you didn't have to manually warm them up. So beginning of February, we made the decision to move the warm-up tools to a separate standalone product. And so that product is called mailtoaster.ai. So let me just show you. So it's very similar to how the functionality worked within the warm-up tool in reply. It's just moved to a separate product. And so Lena, I don't know if you maybe wanted to just take maybe 5 minutes just to quickly kind of walk through the functionality of mailtoaster.ai, how it works, how those email accounts are warmed up. If you are utilizing mailtoaster.ai, if you do have any questions, they do have a live support team as well. The response times are usually 2 to 3 minutes. I'm more than happy to help you out there. So Lena, did you kind of want to hop in there really quickly?
Sure. Yeah, I'll just start sharing my screen. So here's how the starting page of Mailtoaster looks like. Here you can add your email accounts. And if you are Office 365 user, you can connect your email account using the single click option. If you are G Suite user, you will need to enable two-factor authentication and also create an app pass to connect your G Suite account. In the support article, you can find information on how to create an app pass for G Suite account. So let's just jump in and see how it's worked. So here is the main page. Here you will see the progress of warm up. For example, today I just started. So for today, 5 emails to be sent and 2 emails already were sent. And we are expecting for 3 more emails to be sent today. And tomorrow, 10 emails will be sent, and the day after tomorrow, 15. Here we can also see the where emails were delivered: inbox, spam categories. Also in this page, we can see the mailbox health section that will help to check your domain settings. And if they're not correct, you can contact Mailtoaster support, and they can help you to set correct domain settings. Let's get to the settings page. So here we have warm-up profiles section. There's 2 options you can use. You can use reputation protect mode and new email account mode. So new email account we recommend to use if you have a new domain or a new email account. And reputation protect you can use if you want to restore your sender reputation, or if your domain is old enough, you just want to balance cold and warm outreach. The only difference between these 2 modes is the percentage of emails that will be automatically opened during the warm-up. Opened, replied, and marked as important. In both cases, we don't. In both cases, your 100 emails will not be opened because it may look suspicious for your own mail providers. So next section is a daily goal. Here you can set your daily goal. The maximum is 50 emails in a day. We don't recommend to use more, since a high number of warm emails may also be suspicious for your providers. That's why up to 50 emails is just enough for the warm-up. And you can set the option how many emails you would like to increase every day. So you can start from 5 emails and increase every day. So tomorrow, for example, will be sent 10 emails, and the day after tomorrow 15, and so on. Mailbox settings for Office 365 is pretty simple, but if you use G Suite, you will see here an option to add your password and SMTP and other settings. Also, here is the part for signature, and you can also use signature and your own templates during warm-up in Mail Toaster. Why is it good to use your own signature and templates? Because in some cases, even if you have a good domain, if your mail account is healthy enough, and is healthy enough and have strong standing reputation, but you have bad domain, bad templates, or you have a lot of links in your signature, in some cases they can cause spam delivery. So you can add them to warm up and just prepare them, warm them up as well, and to restore their reputation, to improve them. So this will also decrease the chance of spam delivery in future. So here you can add signature, and if you would like to add templates, you will need to navigate to the template tab and choose custom templates. By default, you will use auto-generated text. That's it. Here you can find the support section. If you and also here just would like to pay attention to the inbox filter that you should set to create a new label in your email account. So all emails from Mail Toaster will come to a separate folder. And here you can also see the support section that shows how to create inbox filter for G Suite and Office 365 email accounts.
Thank you, Lena.
Yeah.
We do have some questions that we want to get to because we only have 9 minutes left. So we do have a couple questions that we want to get to. So the first question is really about rewarming up an email account. So the question is, we have G Suite accounts that are 2 years old and have not been active for over a year. They were previously warmed up during the first 12 weeks of their life. If we restart using them, do they require warm-ups? Absolutely. I would highly recommend that you re-warm up your account. You can utilize ramp up in your reply account and slowly warm them up that way. Or what you can even do is you can go into your settings / email accounts, and under that daily limit, you can just slowly increase that daily limit there. So that setting is going to override your sequence settings. So that's really what you want to pay attention to. I would say that if you're re-warming up the account, the warm up doesn't have to be, you don't have to start as low as maybe you originally did with the new email account. But yes, absolutely, re-warm up that account. I would usually say if you've taken a break from sending higher volumes of emails for even a month, that you come in and you kind of rewarm that account before you start sending higher volumes out. Absolutely.
Yes.
And then we have another question. Is Google cracking down on email warmups? Google changed the way that any warm-up provider can connect to Gmail. So previously, any warm-up tool on the market was able to connect via API. So Google changed their connections and now they have to connect via SMTP. So that is a small change on the Gmail side, which is why a lot of warm-up providers have moved either to a separate tool or have just kind of relocated them, is because the connection is now different. So in reply, we are still able to send your sequences via your Gmail account via API, which is the most trusted way and most efficient connection in terms of sending those emails. It's just for warm-up we've had to move to SMTP. All right. I think that is all the questions that we have. Josh, is there anything that you wanted to add before we head out?
No, I think we've covered everything pretty well. And yeah, for anybody asking, we will have recordings of this going out, and there will be a copy on our YouTube channel. Yeah, any last minute questions that anybody has for us?
Well, while we give everyone a couple of minutes, I just want to say, thank you to Josh for hopping on with me again, but also thank you to Lena. I know you weren't feeling that great today, and you did most of the presentation. So thank you so much for being a trooper and coming and joining us today. But yeah, I don't see any more questions coming in. So like Josh said, we are going to be sending this out to everyone who registered to attend. It's also going to be on Reply's YouTube channel. And again, if you guys have any questions regarding deliverability, feel free to reach out to our support team, or you can shoot us an email. We'll be more than happy to help you out with that. And then if it's more related to warm up, obviously you can reach out to mail toaster support as well. So we'll give you 6 minutes back of your day. And then we're going to be doing another session in 3 weeks. We are not sure of the topic yet. Josh and I kind of fly by the seat of our pants, and we usually do these live training sessions just really based on what our customers, want to learn about, want to talk about. So you will see an email from our marketing team once we have that narrowed down. And yeah, we'll hop in here again in 3 weeks.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks, guys. Bye, everyone.
See
Bye.
you.